Yeah, it's
As the co-chair of the Alameda County Complete Count Committee, I want to thank everyone for being here today. We have a great crowd of healthcare providers, librarians, educators, housing advocates, faith leaders, immigration, nonprofits, and a number of elected officials who I want to name. We have a representative from the office of Senator Dianne Feinstein, Office of Assembly Members Bonta and Wicks, Office of Alameda County Supervisor Keith Carson, Alameda County Office of Education Karen Monroe, the Mayor of Alameda, I believe, is coming, if she's not here yet, and Oakland Council City Council Member Nikki Fortuna Bass is coming. We have Jennifer Kavanaugh from the Piedmont City Council. We have the President of the Oakland Education Association with us today. So today we're here because the Supreme Court rejected the lie that the Census Bureau and the Trump administration were promoting as to why they put the census, wanted to put the citizenship question back on the census. It hasn't been on since 1950. So we're really happy this happened today. We still have to be cautious because basically the decision could go back to the court, and Trump has already tweeted that he's going to do that. But I think we do have a substantial step today with the court voting 5-4 not to include the citizenship question. The time is running out as well. The Census Bureau will have to push back a little bit because they have to print the forms. If they don't print the forms, they won't be available to start doing the census work. The Board of Supervisors has been very active on this issue for more than a year now. Last April, we passed a resolution at our board opposing the citizenship question, and we allocated in our budget last year $1.5 million to make sure that every single person in Alameda County is counted. So we're waiting now to see what the Census Bureau is going to do, but we're hopeful and we're going to keep the pressure on. I just want to talk a little bit for a few seconds. You're going to hear from a lot of grassroots organizations and other people today. But Alameda County receives 60% of its money from the state and federal government. So the count is extremely important to all the constituents that we serve in Alameda County. We have a huge, difficult to count population in Alameda County, which is young children, immigrants, homeless, and others. So we already had a big task in front of us. With the fear that's being promoted by the Trump administration today, the citizenship question will make it even harder to do the count. Regardless, we're determined to count every single person, but we really, really would like to see the permanent exclusion of that question. I just want to give you a few statistics about what the census means to us. We have 57 languages spoken in Alameda County. A third of our county is immigrants. And if we only undercount by 3%, which is very small, we would lose $1 billion of funding. $1 billion of funding over 10 years to pay for things like transportation, healthcare, social services, food programs. So this is very, very huge. And as I said, already 26% of our county is considered hard to count. So we're very actually happy to be here today to see the Supreme Court decision, but we're going to have to continue to be vigilant, and we will. We have a strong coalition behind us. We have a wonderful complete count committee, and we're determined. So let's just say, everybody counts. Everybody counts. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague who's done a lot of work on the census, Supervisor Nate Miley.
Woo! Supervisor Chan. Yes, everybody counts. This is my fourth census that I've been involved in since 1990, census number 4. And you know, the census, it continues to be critically important, critically important. There's no one census that's more than any other census, and this census that's coming up for 2020 is equally important. And it's paramount and fundamental that everybody be counted. It's a question of fairness, it's a question of democracy, that everyone be counted, that people not be fearful of being counted. And as Supervisor Chan pointed out, this means both resources for local jurisdictions, and it also has political implications as well in terms of redistricting of boundaries for congressional districts, etc. And you know, for every person that's not counted, it equals about $2,000 per person. And $2,000 over 10 years, that's $20,000 per person. And then you multiply the number of people that potentially are hard to count, and that's how you get up to the billions of dollars that the county could be losing as a result of an undercount. So it's critically important that immigrants, the homeless, seniors, minorities, everyone is counted. At-risk youth, there's just no question that anyone should be concerned about it being counted. And so I'm really pleased that we have our Complete Count Committee operational. It's leading the way throughout the region with the funding that the Board of Supervisors allocated. We're working hard with all of our partners in the CBO community, the faith community, business community, and others, philanthropic community, to ensure that there's a complete count of everyone and that the hard-to-count individuals get counted. And we will have resources available to help with this. The philanthropic community has resources available to help with this. But the important thing is, as Supervisor Roma Chan pointed out, that everyone be counted, that everyone counts. And so I had faith in the Supreme Court, believe it or not. I have a lot of faith in our legal system. Being an elected official, take an oath to uphold the Constitution of this state and the state and the country's Constitution. So I had a lot of faith in our Supreme Court, despite the conservative leaning of that court. I had faith that they would do the right thing. So by them not accepting the citizenship question is once again a step in the right direction, and it indicates our faith in our democracy and our ability to make things happen. So everyone counts, right? Yeah. Everyone counts, right? Yeah. Everyone counts, right? Yeah. Everyone counts. Thank you.
My name is Mar Velez, and I'm a staffer with Congresswoman Barbara Lee. The Congresswoman would have loved to have been here, but unfortunately she cannot because she's at the Capitol Hill doing the work for the 13th District in Congress today. Congresswoman Lee would like to thank and commend the organizations and individuals that work tirelessly to ensure the protection of every person living in the United States today. The inclusion of this question would have severely undercounted vulnerable populations. It would have led to a massive loss of federal dollars for our communities. The Supreme Court did not rule on the constitutionality of this question, but its decision effectively prevents the question from being included in the 2020 census. That is a win we can all celebrate. Congresswoman Lee has also been working on a related issue. As a senior member of the Appropriations Committee, she made sure that the House Commerce, Justice, Science spending bill would prohibit the U.S. Census Bureau from asking any questions pertaining to U.S. citizenship to protect our privacy. These kinds of questions are a direct attack on immigrant communities that rightfully feel that the federal government may use this data against them. The Congresswoman will continue to fight to ensure that we have a census that follows the Constitution, that explicitly requires an actual enumeration and accounts for us all, and that we will receive our fair share in federal funding. Thank you for having me today.
My name is Julia Marks, and I'm a staff attorney on the Voting Rights and Census team at Advancing Justice Asian Law Caucus. A fair and accurate count is essential to our representative democracy. The addition of the citizenship question was a cynical political move that was meant to deter participation by our communities and to decrease political power. The Supreme Court got it right when they rejected the administration's untruthful explanation for why they added the question. Documents from redistricting experts who worked with the Trump administration show that the citizenship question was designed to intentionally discriminate against communities of color. Participating in the census is an opportunity to show the power of our communities and to fight for the representation and resources we all need. The threat of adding this question has unfortunately created significant fear, and much of that fear remains. The Trump administration will also continue to push for the citizenship question, and attorneys will continue to fight against the question. It is important to know and to share that people's census responses are strictly confidential. We now have the strongest confidentiality protections in the history of the census. Title 13, a federal statute, sets clear and strong limitations on the use of census data. The Census Bureau is not allowed to share individual responses with anyone. That includes immigration enforcement, the IRS, and any other federal government agencies or state or local government entities. Individual responses can only be used for statistical purposes. People should know this and respond to the census truthfully and as fully as they can. If people are uncomfortable with parts of the census, they should also know that their form will still be counted even if they skip a question, although participation is required by law. We will all do everything that we can to work with our communities to be informed about their rights and to achieve a complete count.
Thank you and hello. My name is Geraldine Elsa. I'm the Executive Director of Filipino Advocates for Justice based in Oakland and Union City. For over 46 years, we've been serving the Filipino and broader immigrant community in Alameda County. Today, we stand together as immigrants and as citizens. We stand against injustice and bigotry. We stand for the diversity and inclusion of our often overlooked communities that truly make America great. The citizenship question, the Muslim ban, the inhumane treatment and separation of families at the border, threats about public charge and deportation raids, they are all demonstrations of the policies of cruelty this administration is enacting. We recognize and call out using the census as another instrument of fear to intimidate us and diminish our rights. Article 1 of the Constitution says to count every person. The census is our chance to shape the next 10 years. We recognize the census as a tool to build power for our communities, power in resources and political representation. The Filipino immigrants we serve are hardworking folks striving to make the community better. They are supporting the economy, and they are proud to call Alameda County their home. Today, we respond by standing up and saying, our community counts and our community belongs. We commit to ensuring a complete count of the Filipino community. Every adult, child, baby, lolos, aunties, kuyas, ates, they're all going to be counted in Census 2020. We cannot afford to be undercounted and underrepresented any further. Thank you.
I'm the Executive Director for the Afghan Coalition. We are serving the Afghan American community in the Bay Area. So today we are here to just put our concern about this question of citizenship, which is bring a lot of fear in our community. A lot of people who are not citizen will not participate. So our job as a community organization is to educate and bring awareness about to our community about the federal resources, the millions of dollars, their representation in Congress. These are very important. We need to educate them. And I hope what we have, as Supervisor Nelly says, we have a trust in Supreme Court not to allow this question, so all these refugee and immigrant community could participate and be fair. Thank you.
I'm also representing the African immigrant community and the African citizens. The African people here also been looking out because we need to be counted. I am from a Pan-African organization called Global Communication, Education and Art. We do a lot of work with the immigrant community, with the African immigrant community. So the census count is very important. We have to be counted. Immigrants here in the Bay Area have to be counted. Supreme Court decision makes me feel, discarded because everybody here have to be counted. And And yet we face another major challenge in the upcoming census count because of the Trump administration. We the people must set up to be counted. We the immigrants must be difficult. This attack is against us, so must be counted. We the refugee must be counted. If we are not counted, we are erased. If we are not counted, our voice are not heard. If we are not counted, our community will suffer. Everyone needs to be informed that representation and government programs don't just redemand from all ask. They are allocated hard upon the population counted for the census. All household participants should be counted. The censuses only come around once in 10 years, and we only have one chance to get it right. So we as an immigrant, all of us have to be counted. Our immigrant needs to know their rights. Our immigrants need to know their rights. They have to be counted. Our immigrants need to know that their response on the census are confidential. That is very important to me. Our immigrants' rights, our immigrant data should be confidential. Alameda County should never share it with the federal government or with the Homeland Security. And then our immigrants have to be counted. That's also very important for our community, for the African immigrant community. We cannot be defeated by all the other attempted for the White House civil use only because we all have to be counted. I can tell you we are taxpayers. We have immigrants here that they're asking us out. They work with the green card and they have ID and they pay tax. Even to renew the green card every year, they have to pay $500. So they work so hard to survive here. They pay tax like everybody here. So they have to be counted. They have the right to be counted. So thank you very much. I am here. I'm going to work with the Alameda County Census. I'm glad to see, Woma Chen and Ned Miley supporting this. And I'm going to help counting our people one by one. We all have to be counted. We have the right to be here. Everybody should be counted. Thank you very much. That's all I want to say.
I'm Paulino. I'm a community organizer with Faith and Action East Bay. I just want to say that, these terrorizing attacks to our communities, we need to overcome that. We cannot allow anybody to paralyze our communities. Whether we are documented or not documented, we must be counted in this country. It's not about who wants, but it's about we are a part of this country. We should not allow anybody with any level of power to paralyze our communities. Right. We, as a human being, are a part of this world, and nobody can take away that right from none of us. Whether we are documented or undocumented, we must be part of, our voice needs to be on the table. It's not only around the financial loss that we're gonna get, it's the political part as well. We have to empower our communities. These kind of attacks give us the opportunity to empower ourselves and not allow anybody to disempower us. Let us come together. Let us allow ourselves to be counted. Let us invite our communities. Let us, again, if you are documented, undocumented, whether you are from Africa, from Asia, from China, from wherever, from Latin America, get out. Put yourself, put your families, put your bodies into this census. It's critical for us. It's an opportunity for us to build the power that we need to continue fighting against these terrorists in our own communities. I really hope that each one of us will encourage our communities, our families, again, regardless of where they came from, what language, what religion. It's the most important part. We must be counted. Thank you so much to all of us for being here together.
Buenas tardes. My name is Liz Ortega. I'm the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Alameda Labor Council, representing 135,000 workers in Alameda County, from healthcare to teachers to nurses to firefighters to construction workers, all ready to be counted. This administration wants to keep us in fear. This president in particular tweeting day after day. He does not want us, he wants to take away our rights to our bodies, our rights to access to health care, our rights to live in this country as a whole. And what today's Supreme Court decision means, it's a victory, and it means that we will be counted. It means that we will have a voice. It means that Alameda County will be part of the process. And it also means that we can now start counting the days until he is no longer our president. So together, our community will be counted. Nos vamos a contar porque somos la comunidad de Alameda. Gracias.
Our community counts. 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 Our community belongs. Our community counts. Our community belongs. Our community counts. Our community belongs. All right.
Okay, that ends the formal speaking. If you have questions, you can ask them now, and people will be also here for individual interviews. Are there any general questions? Yes.
Can people just lie on the census and say they're citizens? Like, what's the repercussions of that?
I would not advise that. I mean, we have an attorney here, but I would not advise lying. I think that people could choose not to answer certain questions.
So federal law prohibits a false response on the census. On the surveys that go out between the censuses, they have historically asked about citizenship, and lots of people have been found to have lied on that. But there could be serious negative consequences if for some reason you were found to have lied on the census, so it's strongly advised not to do so.
Good question.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. Everyone count, but what about the international students that go to school here for many years? Are they count?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you everyone for coming. We have a beautiful group here. Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
My question is, like, as an African people, we are counted. We wanted to be counted, but also we have ethnic issues. So how are you going to count? Like, because when they have Chinese Americans, it's Chinese Americans. But for us, we becoming African Americans. That's how we are getting lost in this community, in this country. Because after decades, I'm Eritrean American. If I have a child, 2-3 generation from now is being African American, he's not even going to know if he's Eritrean or not. So we have to list all African countries on the ethnic group so to be counted as an Africans, because we have issue finding how many Africans are living in this country. So that's very, very important. And then I just want you to take that into consideration, how you're going to list the African countries. Thank you.
Any other questions?
A question that is commonly asked. I'm Shirley G. I'm with the Vietnamese American Community Center, and our core competency is serving Southeast Asians. But about 30% of our population are Congolese, are Nigerians, and are Sri Lankas, and the smaller refugee groups that are not represented. The question that comes to us constantly is, why should I participate? And the way that we've explained it to them is that we are on attack. We're like hiding in our homes, afraid to come out, waiting for the knock on the door. Rather than do that, let's be more affirmative. Let's do something positive. The administration, under the puppeteer of Steve Martin and our puppet, our president, they're like vampires and a ghoul. And they come at us in the front door, the side door, the back door. And it's time for us to take affirmative action. And one way we can do that is to fill out that census form, because for every completed census form, it's a stake in the heart of that vampire. And we need to have everybody fill it out so that they know that we are here.
Okay, we have one more comment and then we'll let you do individual interviews.
Thank you, Supervisor Chan. My name is Josie Camacho, and I'm on the executive board of the Alameda Labor Council, the APALA, Asian Pacific American Labor Council. I was former secretary treasurer. We're the only national organization that's made up of APIs that are in labor. But immigration is a cornerstone of our program. And I just wanted to say, in light of the horrific death of the father and the daughter, we are more inspired and angry about what's happened and why it's so important for our community to count. And in the meantime, those undocumented voices are not heard, but we have representatives here, like from the National Immigrant and Refugee Rights, FAJ, a slew of organizations that are advocating and being their voices. And APALA will stand steady with our immigrant communities. I want to thank Supervisor Wilma Chan and Supervisor Nate Miley for taking the lead on this. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to cut it off now. So thank everyone for coming. We have a beautiful group here, and people will be here for individual questions and interviews.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we have it on the website?
Yeah.
What the Department of Finance and the state will tell us is that it's not possible to know the exact programs that will be affected.